Hi, welcome to Miss Lori's Craft Room. Today we're going to be making this adorable little chicken using our Cricut Maker. If you do not have the Cricut Maker and you have an Expression or Explorer, what you can do is a couple different things. You can just use cardstock, cut the pattern out with cardstock, use it to trace on your fabric. Or what I like to do sometimes is I'll use, have it draw on an old mat, and then I will have a permanent pattern that I can use to cut out. Just put it on your fabric and draw around it and then cut it out. So there's lots of different ways you can make it work even if you don't have the Cricut Maker. I do highly recommend getting the Cricut Maker if you love fabric. It cuts felt and cotton and leather. It cuts so slick. So let's get started. Okay, so the things you're going to need, so this is the little chicken. So the things you're going to need today are, you're going to need a sewing machine because you do need to do 2 seams. And you need some cotton fabric in whatever you want. You need your Cricut Maker, you need a mat, and you need to, with the pattern is going to be in the description. It's available for free in Design Space. You're going to need to cut out all these pieces. So 2 eyes, a beak, one thing I don't have my little wattle. A wattle, 2 wings, the little comb, and this is for the bottom to seal up the thing. Okay, you're going to need some stuffing and some beans or rice. I recommend beans. They're a little bit lighter than rice, and they stay in a little bit better for this situation. One thing, I like to use a ruler. You're going to need a needle and thread, and then you're going to need a couple beads, or you could use buttons even. Okay, and then I love my tweezers. I use my tweezers all the time. Obviously, you're going to need some scissors, and you're going to need an iron. You don't have to have an iron, but I prefer it. And you're going to need a hot glue gun. So let's get started. And also, one thing I do recommend is I'm going to use some fabric glue today. Okay, there's some other ways you can get around not having to buy that if you don't have it or don't want it. So we'll talk about that when we get to that point. Okay, so you're going to get a mat. Now people are gonna say that you have to use the pink mat to cut fabric. That's an absolute not true. I don't ever buy any other color mat other than green. It's worked for everything. So, and with fabric, as it gets less sticky, it still sticks. It works really well. So, when it gets, to the point where, like, this one's kind of getting where it needs to be washed, so just get a baby wipe and just scrub it down, and it'll be good as new and ready to go. Okay, so you're going to place your fabric down on your mat. Just smooth it out with your fingers, and then put it in your Cricut, and then have it cut it out. So, a lot of the rotary blade, people always want to ask, what setting do you cut on? I tend to just cut on, like, fabric bonded, and then I just choose the rotary blade, and it depends on how new your blade is. My blade right now, my Cricut blade right now, is kind of dull, so I need to add more pressure. Okay, so you go ahead and you cut that out, and you do the same with your felt. Okay, and then the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get your eyes. Okay, so you want to do this before you sew them together. Okay, so you're going to put your eyes, and you want to center them. I usually just do this by eye, but you can, use your ruler, and it's about 2 inches down is what you're going to do. Okay, so then I'll take a pin, and I'm going to just put a pin in it, and then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and stitch around it. Now, if you don't want to do that, because it's not hard, but you can also apply heat and bond to the back of your felt before you cut it, and then you can just iron it on. So I prefer, you could use iron-on vinyl for this, but it's much cuter if you use something that's a little more three-dimensional like felt. Okay, so let's move to the next thing. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I stitched these on. As you can see, I just did a little stitching. Sorry, it's been a while since I did a video. I just stitched around and they're on there super secure. Okay, so then the next thing you're going to do before you start assembling is you're going to do your little eyes. Okay, so you can of course put them however you want. I find that they look super funny when they're right with each other like that. Okay, so these are beads. You could also use buttons, and you could also even use some iron-on on the felt. It works super good on felt. So, but I had the beads, and so that's what I used. So you're going to just get yourself some thread and a needle, and you'll come up from the back and you'll securely attach those. Okay, and I'm using the thread to match the bead because I don't want that thread, so you want to really hide that. Okay, and so then the next thing you're going to do after those are secure, okay, so we kind of screwed up on that. So let's pretend that these are secure because I missed one step, but we can do it. We'll just do it this way. Okay, so now the very next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your two pieces. You're going to take all these parts, your arms and your comb, and you're going to get them. Let's pretend the eyes are there, and we're just going to move them to the side. You're going to put it up here in the center. You're going to center it, and then you're going to. It's about 3 inches down that you're going to put your arms. Remember to face them in towards each other, because when you turn it, it's going to flip out. Okay. So, and of course you can even bring them down. I'm going to probably bring these down just a little bit more. All right. So then I'm going to get, one thing I didn't tell you, you need some pins. Okay. So I'm going to pin. I'm going to pin over here so that when I sew, the pin is out of the way. You see how I just overlapped it? It's not left it sticking out just a little bit. You don't need to stick it out too much. Now up here on the comb, what I want you to do is, because when you stitch, you don't want to catch the edges of this. So you're just gonna carefully just fold in those two little wings of it. You don't want to catch it in your stitching. See, and then you're just gonna, straighten it out, and then you're going to pin. I'm going to pin this way because then I can just take the pin out when I sew. Okay, can you see that? Super simple. Now you're going to take your second piece. You're going to put it right sides facing each other and match up your lines. All right, put this pin back. Needle back before I lose it, and then you're just going to pin. You don't have to pin all the way around the edges. I'm just going to pin in here. If you're uncomfortable and you don't, you're a beginner sewer, you might want to pin on the outside, or you could use clips. I'm just going to pin it in a couple places. Okay, so now I'm going to take it to my machine and I'm going to sew both of the straight sides across the top and then down the other side. And I'm going to sew it about a 1/4 inch. All right. Okay, so I've done that ahead, and here it's all sewn. See how I sewed it about a 1/4 inch in. So now I'm going to just remove my pins, and I'm going to turn it. Well, actually, I'm going to trim this down just a little bit. So I'm just going to trim. Don't get too close to the stitching. But you just want to trim. You probably don't even need to trim the sides down, really. I just tend to do that. Because it's not, it'll be fine. Okay, so we're just going to carefully turn it because my pins are in there. I'm just going to turn it. Oh, see, now I caught that. Oops. See, I caught that right there. I didn't pay attention and I caught it. Okay. So let's see. I actually think it's going to be fine because what it's going to do is it's going to make it a little funny. So let's just turn it out. Now these that I cut a little bit bigger than this one. I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so now you're to this point. From this point, we're gonna do. This is where the hand sewing in. 1 second, I gotta go grab the bag. I forgot to grab the batting. Okay, so you're gonna get your thread and your needle, and you're gonna do a running stitch. I'm just throwing needles all over the place, you guys. Hold on. All right, I don't want to step on that. Okay. So you're just going to start on one side. Oh, you need to put a knot, obviously, in the end of your thread. You're going to just do a running stitch. You're going to start here, and so you're just going to take big stitches. And you're gonna do that about 1/4 of an inch in. See, it's just big running stitches. Because this is how we're gonna close it up. All right. See how simple this is? This is such a fun project and it's so cute. Sorry, this part's kind of boring. I'm almost all the way around. Okay. So now I'm going to gather it up just a little bit, and I'm going to get my batting. See, this is the stuffing. You can just get this at Walmart. It's cheap, real cheap at Walmart. Okay, and I'm going to stuff it up here first in the top. Oh, one thing I didn't do is I didn't iron. Generally, I would iron the seam, but it's been a while since I made a tutorial, so I'm a little off my game today. Okay, so we're just gonna pack it in there tight. See, I'm just shoving my fingers up in there. And if you don't want to use beans or rice or something heavy, you could just stuff it. You don't have to. You don't have to put the beans in there. Okay, so it's kind of being a brat. So we're just gonna. Okay. So now I'm gonna start pulling this. Okay. It's easier to get your stuffing to behave when you get it all pulled. See how it's just a gather stitch. So you're just gathering it. I'm just gonna keep shoving it down there. Because you want to have this top stuffed. You want his little top to be stuffed. That's super, super important. Okay, and you can put some more. This is just a matter of how fat you want him. You do want him to be pretty full. Okay, So there's not a lot of room left in there, as you can see, but we're going to get a couple handfuls of beans. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the beans and kind of just start shoving them in there. Not very technical. Basically what the beans are is it's just going to give it a little bit of weight, so it just feels a little more substantial. And as I said, you could fill the whole thing up with beans if you wanted to. But I generally try to do things that are, you know, a little bit less expensive, because I usually am doing them for resale in my shop that I have at an antique mall. And so I try to always look for the cheapest alternative. Okay. And you can see as I'm just shoving them down inside of stuffing. And you're going to have beans all over the place. I will guarantee that. Okay, so I got them all in. And I used about a handful. Okay, so this is where you're going to... Great, I've put stuffing on the stuffing. Okay, so I'm going to hold it. Yeah, beans don't like to go inside of things. They like to escape. Gee, sorry guys. I guess I should have put the beans in there first, but I want them in the bottom. Okay, so now you're going to pull your string while you're shoving your fingers in there, okay? Pull the string. Be careful not to break your string. Okay, just hold your string, get it snug. Okay, now you're gonna, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go take it and I'm gonna go across. And take a couple stitches across to pull it together even more. See how it's coming together now? You kind of have to hold it, and it'll eventually get there. Honestly, this is probably the most difficult part, and it's not even hard. It's just, you know, trying to have 3 hands, and you only have 2. So you're just trying to pull all those little extra, you want all the fabric kind of go in the middle. You don't want any pieces of fabric sticking out of your thing. Okay, so when you're happy with it, make a stitch. Okay, this is how you you lock your thread. So you take a stitch. Oops, I guess I need to grab the fabric. I need to grab the fabric. Okay, and then you have a loop, and you go through the back of the loop and pull it tight, and that's gonna tie your fabric off. Okay. Okay. So then you have it. So you obviously you want to hide that. So I have a circle that I cut. I think the circle is a little bit too big, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit. Oops. Now it's oblong. So obviously I need to adjust that for size in the pattern. Okay, so this is where your hot glue gun comes in. So I'm going to take my tweezers and my hot glue gun, and I'm going to run a bead of glue all along it and right in the center, and then I'm going to center it to cover that. And then I'm going to turn him over and push his little butt down. Okay. And then you're going to have a nice finished bottom. It'll be nice and finished. Okay. Okay. See how it did get sewed a little bit on there, but it still looks super cute. It's still really cute that way. If I wasn't in the middle of doing a video, I probably would have picked it out and re-sewed it because I am going to put them in my store. I of course want them to be as perfect as I can. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put on the beak and the wattle. So on this one, I wasn't quite sure what color wattle I wanted to do because it's red, and so I think I'm going to go ahead and just do a black wattle. Okay, so what I do with this is this is where the fabric glue comes in. Okay, and so you could do this with hot glue too, but I'm going to use fabric glue because sometimes with hot glue I get really messy. So it only needs to be glued like the top, see, way too much. Okay. As I said, I have not done a video for a while, so I'm a little out of practice, and I just made a big mess. Okay, so you put a little bit of hot fabric glue on there, and then just press it in. There. And then you get your little beak. Let's do some hot glue because that got a little yucky. You just don't put a lot, just kind of tap it on there. And then you're going to put the beak. See how the tweezers come in really handy? Oh, isn't she cute? Ah, she's so cute. Another reason I don't like hot glue guns sometimes is the strings. You can get rid of that with your heat gun or your hairdryer. So didn't she turn out cute? Well, thank you for coming to my video. The link to Design Space file is going to be in the description. And thanks for coming to Miss Lori's Craft Room. You guys have a fantastic day. God bless you.